Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Subcommittee 2, Labor and Workforce Sub. We have several bills that are going by for the day as patrons work with interests and advocates and activists on some slight edits and changes to various bills. So with that, I'd like to move that we take several bills by for the day in block. HB 121 from Keys-Gamarra, HB 260 from Delegate Simons, HB 275 from Delegate Rasool, HB 338 from me, HB 340 from Delegate Martinez, and then finally HB 569 from Delegate Fagans. With that, that's like to have a motion. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. All those opposed? All right. Those bills are passed by for the week. Just to reinforce something that was said repeatedly to folks, we will only have a limited amount of meetings, and so please be aware that it's going to be difficult to pass bills by repeatedly, and we want to be able to hear everything before we run out of time. With that, I'd like to have the Uber chair present her bill first. Welcome to the podium, ma'am. It's HB 572. Chairwoman Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, good afternoon. This bill is an agency bill, and what the bill does, it clarifies that the cost of running Virginia's Unemployed Employers Fund, including administrative and legal expenses, can be paid directly out of the fund itself. The Uninsured Employers Fund exists to pay workers' compensation benefits when an employer illegally or improperly fails to carry workers' compensation insurance. And this bill ensures that the money collected for the fund can also cover the actual cost of administering it, such as its third-party administrators, legal fees, and medical bills. This bill does not increase taxes, and it does not change benefit eligibility. It's made updates how the fund's money can be used. This bill will have no fiscal impact on the state. It mostly seeks to clarify the purpose of the Uninsured Employers Fund, and no company that is paying its proper taxes should have any problem since it does not increase taxes. It does make it easier for workers to access workers' compensation, which is a real problem in Virginia. And that's the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are there any questions for Chairwoman Ward from the committee on this outstanding and excellent bill?
Outstanding.
All right. Are there anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? Anyone online? Mr. Clerk? No. All right. Any additional questions from the committee? No? All right. Committee works by motion. Oh, wait, moved and seconded. Let's go to the big board. It's not registering. There we go. All right, by a vote of 6 to 1, the bill passes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much.
All right, with that, we'll try to go next with Delegate McClure. HB 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 20 removes the farm worker exemption and the temporary foreign worker exemption from the Virginia Minimum Wage Act. This bill is a bill that the General Assembly has discussed and debated at length. It passed the General Assembly in the last 2 sessions and was vetoed. Under our current law, farm workers on large farms are only covered by the federal minimum wage at $7.25 an hour, and farm workers on small farms are excluded from the federal minimum wage protection, meaning that it's legal for employers to pay farm workers below the $7.25 an hour. Through many conversations with farmers and based on data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we know that the majority of farmers already pay their workers at or above Virginia's minimum wage. The bill addresses the outliers who choose to pay their workers very low wages, and employers who pay inhumane wages get an unfair competitive advantage over farmers who are paying those fair wages for that incredibly hard and valuable work. Mr. Chair, I have a deep appreciation and respect for our farmers in Virginia, and I support them in various ways. And I believe that it's past time that we remove the discriminatory farm worker exemption from our Virginia minimum wage law to support and finally include these workers that keep these farms going. So, Mr. Chair, I hope it is the will of the subcommittee to vote in favor of HB 20.
Thank you, Delegate McClure. Any questions for the patron? We have heard this bill a couple years in a row. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill from the audience? And let me just say at the outset, if you are going to speak in favor or speak in opposition, please come close.
Good afternoon, Chair Lopez and members of the subcommittee. My name is Manuel Gago. I'm the co-director of the Worker Justice Program at Legal Justice Center. Every day we met with workers who harvest, pack, and prepare the food that feeds Virginia. Yet many of them are still denied the basic right to a minimum wage. This bill is simple. By removing these few outdated lines, we can end unequal treatment in our laws, eliminate Jim Crow era exclusions, and protect workers without raising food prices or harming small farms. Most already pay fair wages. Closing this loophole stops bad actors from undercutting honest farmers and ensures dignity for the people whose hands feed us. So when you enjoy your tomato, an apple, or an oyster, remember, the person who made that possible maybe not earn a minimum wage. And you may be heard for the position about this is not affordable. But let's be clear, affordability also means that the people who harvest our food can make enough money to buy their own. Let's send HB 20 to the governor's desk, and finally, do what is right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I didn't begin to say this at the outset. I've said it in other subcommittees and other committees, but we're going to have at least just 1 minute for folks. And if you're repeating what someone else has said, just please say your name, your organization, and whether or not you support the bill or oppose the bill.
Judith Conti on behalf of the Virginia Employment Lawyers Association and the Metropolitan Washington Employment Lawyers Association. We fully support this bill for all of the reasons that have been said and will continue to be said. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ramon Cepeda Ramos, Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We thank the patron for looking out for the people that feed us. We've historically worked to remove exemptions from the minimum wage. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Emily Yen, Smart Local 100, the Sheep Metal Workers Division, and we support the bill. We think that all workers should earn at least a minimum wage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Ashley Crocker with Progress Virginia. We support the bill because exempting farm workers from earning the minimum wage is a racist vestige from Jim Crow and should be removed immediately. Farm workers are some of the hardest working people in our community, and they deserve to earn at least the minimum wage. We urge you to report the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Dominique Martin, New Virginia Majority, and we support the bill.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Jewel Gatling with Care in Action, and we represent over 50,000 domestic workers here in Virginia, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference. We support this bill as an important measure of fairness and justice for farm workers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Julie Newton with SCIU. I'm representing 32BJ and SCIU 512, and we strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kayla Mock. I'm with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 400, and we stand in support with this bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. Charles Skelly, Richmond Building Construction Trades. We support the bill.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Patrick Brigham with the Electricians Union, Local 666. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, Doris Krause-Mays, Virginia AFL-CIO, and we support the bill.
Mr. Chair, committee, about time we support the bill. Jason Parker, Virginia State Building Construction Trades Council.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Freddie Mahir from the Commonwealth Institute. As we heard, this isn't about most farmers. The average farm worker in Virginia was already paid $18.40 as of 2024. This is about addressing the bad actors who exploit workers with substandard wages, and for that reason, we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Virginia Diamond with Nova Labor. We support the bill. Thank you, Delegate.
All right. Anyone who's here to speak in opposition to the bill?
Hello, Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We want to thank the patron for all her kindness and opportunities to talk with her. Farmers have little control over the prices they receive while facing rising costs tied to global markets, extreme weather and transportation disruptions. Income is often seasonal, making cash flow and long-term planning especially challenging. We really appreciate the acknowledgement that most farmers are paying above minimum wage. Maintaining the farm worker exemption does allow some farms to continue providing stable jobs and flexibility and providing competitive compensation while managing these uncertainties. Virginia has lost thousands of farms and significant farmland in recent years, and when farms disappear, the impacts are felt far beyond rural areas, contributing to higher food prices, longer supply chains, and reduced access to fresh, locally produced food in urban communities. Ensuring equitable access to affordable, nutritious food in our urban and rural areas depends on continued viability of the farms, the workers who supply them, and we respectfully ask for you to support in maintaining the farm worker exemption. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Trey Davis with Virginia Agribusiness Council. For the reasons that Mrs. Henley said, we oppose the bill on behalf of the agribusinesses and the employers that we represent.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Brad Copenhaver representing the Virginia Nursery and Landscape Association. We also oppose the bill for the reasons stated. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone online to speak in opposition or in favor of the bill? No, sir. All right. Any additional questions from members of the committee? Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just speaking to the bill very briefly. So, Mr. Chair, I have nothing but respect and admiration for the patron of this bill, and I know her heart's in the right place, and I certainly wish her well. And I won't rehash all my objections over the last few years, and I know your heart's in the right place with this, but I can't support it, but I do wish you well as it moves forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Ballard.
Thank you. Any last words or comments to the patron?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So I definitely appreciate the testimony on both sides, on the opposition as well. But I just wanted to clarify that there is data that supports the fact that farms are not shutting down because of wages. Most farmers are paying above the minimum wage. And as it was said, we all agree that affordability is an issue, but we also want to make sure that those people who are being paid the least and doing the hardest work are actually able to afford the same food that they're harvesting. So I urge the subcommittee to vote in favor of passing this bill again.
Thank you, Delegate McClure. All right. Moved and seconded. All right, let's go to the big voting board. All right, by a vote of 5-2, the bill passes. Thank you, Delegate McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee.
All right, Delegate Henson with HB 27, overtime for certain employees, domestic workers.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I do have an amendment to this bill.
Okay, can you explain the amendment?
Yes, so this amendment, line 5 introduced titled after workers, insert and live in domestic workers. And then the second one is line 24 introduced after employers strike the remainder of lines 24 and all of lines 25 and 26. What we're trying to do is put it in the same posture of what just passed the Senate not too long ago.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the substitute. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All right, substitutes before us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 27 is a cognate to Senate Bill 28, which is a bill that provides overtime protections for domestic workers, including nannies, house cleaners, caregivers, cooks, and others who provide essential services in private homes across the Commonwealth. Mr. Chair, domestic workers have long been excluded from core labor protections despite performing work that has made it possible for families to go to work, for older adults to age in place, and for people with disabilities to live with dignity. Mr. Chair, House Bill 27 addresses the gap by clearly defining domestic services and live-in domestic worker by expressly including domestic workers under the Virginia overtime statute. Under this bill, employers must pay 1.5 times the regular rate of pay for any hours worked over 40 in a work week, aligning domestic labor standards with those that apply throughout the rest of our economy. Mr. Chair, this isn't a bill that is new. You all have heard it for the last few years. It made it all the way to the governor's desk and was vetoed. But what I'm hoping, Mr. Chair, is that we can finally get it to be the law of the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Mr. Delegate Henson. Any questions for Delegate Henson about the bill? It has been heard a few years in a row. All right, anyone here to speak in support of the bill? Once again, if you're going to be speaking in support, please come forward earlier.
Good afternoon, Chair and subcommittee members. My name is Jewel Gatling, and I am here to represent over the 50,000 domestic workers with Care in Action. Virginia's mostly domestic workers are Black and brown women, and they deserve better. These are people who care for our children, support our elders, and provide invaluable support through our most challenging times. Yet, they are denied the same overtime protections afforded to others in the workforce. Right now, domestic workers who live in their home of their employer can work around the clock, and they still don't see a penny of overtime pay. These are the workers who step in where our systems fall short, who bring compassion into the most personal, intimate, and challenging parts of our lives. They become a lifeline to our families and a bridge when we need to struggle and we have stability. Far too long, these tireless workers have been invisible in labor laws, many working well over 40 hours a week just to make ends. This legislation is simple. It's about fixing what's broken, that the bill will reinstate the right for overtime protection of live-in domestic workers. Thank you all for righting the wrong.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ramon Cepeda Ramos with Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We continue to support and align our comments with Care in Action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Emily Yen, Smart Local 100. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Judith Conti, Virginia Employment Lawyers Association, Metropolitan Washington Employment Lawyers Association. We wholeheartedly support the bill.
Thank you.
Doris Krause-Mays, Virginia AFL-CIO, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jason Parker, Building Trades, State of Virginia. Another about time. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Jason Urashus, Legal Aid Justice Center. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Ashley Crocker, Progress Virginia. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thanks.
Patrick Brigham, Electricians Union Local 666. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia Newton, SCIU Virginia 512. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Ashley Dwyer, SEIU Virginia State Council. We support the bill.
Thank you.
And Kayla Mock with UFCW Local 400. We stand in support.
All right. Anyone in opposition to the bill? Anyone online?
No, sir.
All right. Any additional questions from members of the committee?
Move to report. Second.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Let's go to the big board. No, with amendments. Moved and report with amendments seconded.
Yes, sir.
All right, by a vote of 5-2, the bill is reported. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to HB 130, Delegate Cornett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. HB 130 amends Section 65.2-402 of the Code of Virginia, which is the workers' compensation presumption statute for death or disability from respiratory disease, heart disease, hypertension, and certain cancers for firefighters and other public safety officers. The bill simply adds sheriffs and sheriff's deputies to the cancer presumption in the code, and a big part of this bill comes from the day-to-day realities of sheriffs and sheriff's deputies' work here in the Commonwealth, and especially in rural parts of the Commonwealth. Deputies are not just responding calls, they're filling gaps when resources are stretched thin, as you know. The request for this bill comes from a sheriff's office in my district, Smith County, and their deputy, Scott Prater, who served on a DEA task force, and I'm told by the sheriff that he likely helped dismantle more meth labs than most people in the region. He later died of cancer, believed to be linked to that work and the exposure to those environments. His story really reflects a broader reality and the long-term exposure risks with narcotics investigations, evidence handling, and task force work. Exposure isn't limited to drugs in our area, the rural areas, and all across the Commonwealth. Deputies regularly assist at fire scenes, arson investigations, violent crime scenes, and emergency response scenes. Current law already recognizes these risks for other public safety officers, and HB 130 brings sheriffs and sheriff's deputies into that same framework. So I feel like this is a practical update and reflects how public safety actually works in the Commonwealth. And respectfully ask for the subcommittee's support, and happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for the delegate from the committee? All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jeff Smith here on behalf of the Virginia Self-Insurers Association, which includes local governments that are self-insured in the workers' comp space, as well as Metis Holdings, who oversees the risk pool on behalf of VACO. Want to thank the patron for his time this morning, meeting with us on the bill. Historically, we've opposed this bill strictly on several grounds, but the first one is when we look at these for firefighters, there's usually a substantial scientific relation to the cancer and the occupation, and that's done through several outlets, and those studies are reviewed, peer-reviewed, and kind of put together in a comprehensive report. The other thing I will bring up is as it relates to firefighters in Virginia, at least under under the VACORP model, there's about 4,000 firefighters and there's about 8,000 law enforcement. So you're looking to double the coverage, under this bill, and it would pass on a substantial cost to, the various localities. So with respect to the patron and the intent, we have to oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Jeremy Bennett, representing the Virginia Association of Counties. I'll be very brief. We have no opposition to the intent of the bill, but given the fiscal concerns raised to us by local government risk insurers and our longstanding position opposing expansions without additional state support, we unfortunately have to oppose the bill. I want to thank the patron for meeting with us and taking the time to talk through it.
Okay. All right. Anyone online?
There's one that signed up. Is Mr. Blevins online?
All right, Mr. Blevins is not online. Okay. Oh, he is. He's here. All right. Mr. Blevins?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Well, first, thank you for the opportunity to testify virtually. I'm coming to you from the best part of the Commonwealth in Smith County, Virginia, where I had the privilege to serve as the Commonwealth's attorney. Also, thank you to Delegate Cornett for being the patron of this bill. This bill is more than about dollars and cents. This bill is about taking care of those who put their lives in danger to serve others. And in particular, to put a face with this bill is about Lieutenant Scott Prater. Lieutenant Prater was a long-term narcotics investigator for Smith County who dismantled more meth labs than I would venture to say anyone in the Commonwealth. Lieutenant Prater later was exposed to carcinogens that likely caused his cancer, and he died on May 24th, 2024 of cancer. And this bill would allow him and his family to receive certain benefits, and we strongly support this bill on behalf of all law enforcement members here in Smith County, and thank the committee and the chair for entertaining me from beautiful Smith County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blevins. So before we entertain any motions on this bill or have the patron speak to it, if it is reported out, it will have to go to appropriations. So any additional questions or comments from the committee? Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My big concern is the cost to local government, especially smaller jurisdictions. That's what first popped in my mind when we add sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, which obviously I support and will always continue to support. I do have a lot of fiscal concerns about this particular bill. With that being said, obviously I want to support you as a new member of our caucus, and you and I share Pulaski County together. So I am going to move to report it. I think I know what the fate of the bill is ultimately going to be, and I wish you well as you go through the process. But I just want to put on the record, I do have a lot of concerns about the fiscal impact to small local governments. With it.
Thank you. Delegate Runyon.
Mr. Chair, I would like to second the motion and to comment on it, please, Mr. Chair.
There you go.
I, too, have serious fiscal concerns relating to local government. However, one thing that I believe is that we need to recognize in the modern society that we're in, our law enforcement, our first responders, and that whole group of people have been exposed to stresses and environmental issues that are different than what we have seen historically. And I appreciate the patron bringing the bill forward. I did second the bill because I support it, and I think we need to have this question in front of the Commonwealth. Now, how do we bring this issue into where we are today and address it effectively? So thank you, Mr. Chair.
So the bill has been moved and seconded to report and refer to appropriations. Let's go to the big board. All right, by a vote of 7-0, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. All right, let's move to the final delegate who's not on the committee, Delegate Carnegie, HB 312. I believe you have a substitute.
We do have a substitute, Mr. Chair.
Can you explain the substitute?
Ms. Ali is prepared to explain the substitute to the committee.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Delegate Carnegie, the substitute no longer references insurance provisions. So as compared to the introduced bill, there is no longer overlap between the consumer protection provisions and certain protections and provisions that already exist in the insurance title 38.2. So you'll see a few sections and references removed.
All right.
Thank you.
So move the substitute. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right. Substitutes before us. Delegate
Thank you,
Carnegie.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this bill this afternoon. I'm here on House Bill 312, which strengthens consumer protections for Virginians seeking motor vehicle glass repair or replacement by addressing unfair and deceptive practices, improving transparency, and ensuring vehicle safety. HB 312 brings motor vehicle glass repair under the Virginia Consumer Protection Act and establishes a Motor Vehicle Glass Act to require upfront disclosure to consumers about whether a vehicle has ADAS and whether calibration and recalibration is required after glass repair or replacement. It requires repair shops to disclose whether ADAS calibration will be performed according to manufacturer specifications or if a referral to a qualified dealer or specialist is needed. It requires truthful representations regarding goods, services, pricing, and product origin, prohibits the transfer of insurance rights to auto glass repair companies to prevent fraud and abuse, and affirms a consumer's rights to choose their motor vehicle repair shop. And so I ask the committee to vote in favor of this bill today to pass it to committee.
All right. Any questions for the patron?
Yes, Mr.
Delegate Runyon.
I certainly appreciate the intent. One concern that I have, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask for the patron, how are we going to address those smaller glass shops to be able to afford the rapid adoption of this expensive equipment?
Okay. I have an expert here to testify on that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Alex Thorpe with the Trafford Group on behalf of Safe Light Auto Glass. I would answer Delegate Runyon's question by citing the language in the bill is actually it doesn't prohibit a certain glass shop from doing the work if they're not able to recalibrate the vehicle's ADAS system. It's simply a disclaimer. They have to tell the customer your vehicle does need to be recalibrated. We either can do it or we cannot do it. And in the event that they would not be able to do it, for this example, they could still perform the windshield repair or replacement, and they would just tell the customer that you need to go to your dealership or to somewhere else to get your ADAS recalibrated.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, follow up, please.
Yeah, follow Delegate Runyon.
I do understand that, but it really doesn't address the, it puts the smaller glass shops at a competitive disadvantage against the larger corporate glass shops. And so I'm trying to look at what can we do? Would there be something, perhaps a delayed enactment, that would give the smaller glass shops an opportunity to be able to fund this equipment purchase and learn how to use it and put everybody on equal footing at the same time? The glass shop, at least in my world, the local independent glass shops are few and far between now. And it's not in a rural area that we have. It's not always, the national glass shops aren't always available in a timely manner, has been my personal experience. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Delegate Ballard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for patron or the witness. I'm looking at this, and towards the end, it talks about prohibiting an insurer from maintaining a network of motor vehicle glass repair shops. So I'm thinking like I'm a member of USAA, and if I recall correctly, like they maintain a list of preferred shops, and there's incentives for using them that may ultimately reduce costs. So under this, maintaining that list itself is a violation of this bill, which in turn is a violation of the Virginia Consumer Protection Act, which then creates a private right of action. So can you walk me through how that would work if, for example, USAA just maintained this list and they're in violation?
I have a member from the FTC to speak to that.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, responding to Delegate Ballard's question. So the substitute pulls all of the insurance-related information out because, as you pointed out, yes, that is a practice that often happens with insurance companies, that they will have a network of preferred providers. But with the substitute, we were trying to pull out the insurance-related pieces, since that's already covered in Title 38.2, but leaving the consumer protection pieces in there. So that has been taken out in the substitute.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Delegate Ballard.
Probably to the same witness then, and I can't pull up the substitute right now. So then to the second part of my question, can you explain to me in that scenario the private right of action under the VCPA? So does that still exist?
It would not in the example that you provided, sir, no.
Okay. All right, but in the overall bill as substituted, there's still a private right of action under the VCPA. Is that correct? I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I should ask for a follow-up.
Yeah, Delegate Ballard, if I can answer, enforcement under VCPA, ADAS disclosure is preserved and retained under this new substitute.
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, Mr. Chairman. Last follow-up. I'm asking about the private right of action. So we're talking about insurers violating something, right? So I can sue under the VCPA, right, if one of these insurers is in violation of the provision of the statute. Am I reading that right?
The insurers are no longer a part of this.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay.
So yes, this is still here, VCP.
So yeah, Delegate Ballard, just to answer the question, under line 299 of the substitute, the enforcement penalties are still there, but it's limited just to the advanced driver assistance systems and not to everything else.
Okay. My apologies, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a substitute.
Thank you. Delegate Fowler. Oh. Any other questions or comments? All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, Alex Thorpe on behalf of Safe Light Auto Glass. We support this legislation. We were one of the participants in the robust stakeholder process convened by the National Council of Insurance Legislators last year to develop this as model legislation. It's passed in 7 or 8 states already around the country. So we thank the delegates' work on this.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Dana Wiggins with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. We appreciate the transparency measures and the consumer protections, and we appreciate the delegate for bringing the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill? All right. There's no one online?
No, sir.
All right. The committee works by motion.
Move your report.
Moved and seconded. All right. With the moved and seconded with the substitute. All right, let's go to the big board. Excellent. All right. By a vote of 7-0, the bill is reported with the substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
All right. So with that, we will now go to bills that are from members of the subcommittee. So Delegate Converse Fowler, HB 5, paid sick leave.
If they're on.
If they're on.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present HB 5, which will extend paid sick leave benefits to workers across the Commonwealth. Currently in Virginia, paid sick leave benefits are very narrowly tailored to home health workers. HB 5 expands this coverage to all employees of private employers and state and local governments, ensuring that all employees have the right to at least 5 paid sick days per calendar year. Paid sick leave benefits workers, businesses in Virginia at large by enhancing worker retention with better benefit guarantees and protection, helping prevent the spread of transmissible diseases to keep the workforce healthy. Mr. Chair, these protections for the workers that truly are Virginia's backbone are long overdue. I hope the subcommittee will report favorably. And we do have a few line amendments that.
You do?
Yes.
All right, and you have, does clerk, attorney have the line amendments? Can you report the line amendments?
I do, Mr. Chair and Delegate Converse Fowler. So on line 66, after employees, the remainder of the sentence is struck and instead insert covered by 29 CFR section 825.801. So employees covered by that section shall be assumed to work 40 hours in each work week for purposes of paid sick leave accrual. And then the language that was originally in that subsection, in that part in the original bill, is moved to subsection L at the after line 102. The bill also adds on line 161 after authority or employed by any agency licensed by the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. Those are the amendments. Thanks.
All right, can we move the line amendments? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, substitutes of porous. You've spoken to the bill.
Yes, and just to reiterate, those were for relief workers and also to cover the assumption of the 40-hour work week with airline pilots.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any questions or comments from members of the committee? We've been talking about this for a few years now. All right, anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Once again, please come up close. And once again, for folks in the room and online, we're trying to keep comments to 1 minute, and if you are repeating, just say your name and your organization.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ramon Cepeda Ramos with Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. I want to thank the patron for carrying this bill. I want to thank Uber Chairwoman for bringing us here. For many years, advocates have been coming here, and this is my second year, and I want to urge you again to support this bill. You passed this bill last year, and I briefly want to read to you a letter on behalf of the Virginia Interfaith Center and hundreds of people that may be here, some that cannot be here. But this is what we say. Caring for the sick and vulnerable among us is part of our mission as people of faith and goodwill. We encourage people to take care of themselves and their families when sick. Unfortunately, too many Virginians cannot take a sick day without losing their income. In Virginia, 41% of private sector workers, 1.2 million workers, have no paid sick days or PTO. We urge you to support this legislation to require that all Virginia employers offer workers up to 5 paid sick days per year. The proposed legislation would create a standard to ensure that all workers can earn 1 hour for 30 hours worked. This policy will benefit working parents who need to stay home and take care of a sick child, which would also benefit public health. Low-wage workers, particularly public service workers, personal healthcare service, and childcare workers, are the least likely to have paid sick days. When they are sick, these workers are forced to choose between getting paid and putting food on their table and putting the public's health at risk. Our economy also stands to gain from paid sick days. Paid sick days reduces turnover, which saves businesses money and reduces medical costs by stopping spread of infection.
Thank you,
We call upon you to support this. Thank you.
Ms. Gruber.
Thank you, Chairman Lopez and members of the committee. I'm a retired educator here representing the Virginia Education Association, and we support the bill, as for every reason he said, but also in addition, the fact that it does now include domestic violence, which has become, unfortunately, more prevalent in our society. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair, David Martin with the Airline Pilots Association International, representing 81,000 commercial airline pilots, including the thousands here located in Virginia. I want to thank you and the members of the committee and Delegate Fowler. We rise in support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jennifer Federa. I'm with the Virginia Network of Private Providers. And to speak to a very narrow portion of the substitute that you got, for all the same reasons that hospitals asked to be exempt from providing leave for relief workers who do not have regularly scheduled shifts, Department of Behavioral Health licensed providers have exactly the same issue. So when the patron was kind enough to put our amendment in, we appreciate that very much. It will keep things flowing as it were nicely, and we hope you support that part of the bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Judith Conti on behalf of Vila Moila and as a citizen of the Commonwealth. Back in 2006 and 2007, I was deeply involved in the passage and implementation of a similar bill in the District of Columbia and can tell you that it has been an overwhelming success. Workers use their right to paid sick leave judiciously and honestly, and employers see the benefits as well of less communicable diseases spread throughout the workforce and less of the presence of presenteeism, which is when a sick person is present but really not able to perform their job adequately. So we fully support this bill for all of the reasons that have been stated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jewel Gatlin with Care in Action, and today we are here to support a bill that will provide paid sick days for all workers. Domestic workers clean and take care of our people and our families, but when they are sick, they don't have the option to take a paid sick day. If their kid is sick, they have to decide whether or not I take care of my child or I go to work to make money. We cannot continue to exploit, mistreat, and dehumanize workers for someone else's bottom line. Our economy and communities rely on healthy workforce. All workers need access to receive their own care, to see a doctor, to have child care, receive mental health support. Care in Action urges you all to pass this legislation that keeps all workers healthy and enhances everyone's family's economic security. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir.
Manuel Gago for Legal Aid Justice Center. We support this bill.
Thank you.
Dr. Emily Yen, Smart Local 100. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Dominic Martin, New Virginia Majority. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Joyce Krause-Mays, Virginia AFL-CIO, and we really want to thank the delegate for making the changes and including the pilots and the flight attendants. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again. Julia Newton, SEIU, and we support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley Dwyer for SEIU Virginia State Council and 32BJ, who represents airport subcontracted workers here in Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick Brigham, Electricians Union, Local 666. We support the bill. Thank you.
Ashley Crocker, Progress Virginia. No one should have to choose between taking time off work when they're sick and paying their rent, but 1.2 million workers in our community are forced to make that choice every time they get sick. Paid sick days are just common sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rena Hicks with Freedom Virginia, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Joanna Darkus, Virginia Poverty Law Center. We support the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Nikki Robinson, CWA, Communication Workers of America. We also represent the airlines as well, and we strongly support the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Kayla Mock with UFCW Local 400 on behalf of our members, many who work in grocery and retail who kept us fed during a pandemic. They were frontline and essential. We strongly, strongly support this bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Jason Parker, Virginia Building Trades, we support.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak in opposition to the bill?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members. Ethan Betterton with Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We're particularly concerned about the potential impact of this legislation on small businesses, and in particular, I'd like to draw your attention to the enforcement section. As written, the bill provides for parallel enforcement tracks. It authorizes civil enforcement by the Commissioner of Labor and Industry, and further provides at line 220, in addition to any civil penalties provided by the section and without regard to any exhaustion of alternative administrative remedies provided for in the section, an employee may bring a civil action. In other words, the administrative proceeding does not resolve or meaningfully limit future litigation exposure. Moreover, the bill provides that an employee who prevails in a civil action is entitled to mandatory remedies, including twice the amount of uncompensated leave, twice the amount of any actual damages, and compensation for lost wages, benefits with interests plus attorney fees and costs. Those remedies apply without regard to intent, good faith, or the employer's efforts to comply. And while the bill includes language that allows employers to settle administrative penalties without admission of civil liability, that does not provide true finality. That language does not clearly prohibit the use of the Commissioner's findings or records in subsequent actions, which means an employer may face that same action being used against as evidence of a violation in court. So in simple terms, if the Commissioner determines that an employer violated the bill, even unintentionally or due to a technical error or a good faith error, that employer can and likely will, in our opinion, be subject to a costly civil lawsuit in which liability is effectively established and the employer is left to litigate damages and has no meaningful ability to prevail. This is especially concerning for Virginia small businesses, which are the most likely to commit unintentional good faith violations due to limited compliance staff and resources. So under the framework presented by the introduced bill, those employers face disproportionate risk and damaging costs for even the most minor of errors. For these reasons, we oppose the bill. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Nicole Brenner with Seven Hills Strategy Group on behalf of United Airlines, want to thank the patron for her time and consideration of our amendment. United Airlines has one of our hubs here in Virginia at Dulles. The airlines are also a federally regulated industry, and we have 50 state collective bargaining agreements with our employees. The General Assembly regularly encourages employers in Virginia to enter into these type of agreements. And on that basis, we had requested an amendment and hope we can continue the conversation as this bill moves throughout the process. I would submit that individual state leave policies like this undermine those agreements and our ability to keep planes in the air.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Michelle Satterlin with American Airlines. We are the largest air carrier in Virginia, serving 9 airports. Just want to express our concern with this bill. We are appreciative of the delegates' willingness to have conversations with us, but again, we feel like federal law preempts the requirements of this for air carriers. It's important that we are able to get our planes moving in direct. We have to follow what the Airline Deregulation Act and the Railway Labor Act require us to do, so it's important for that exemption. And our hope is that we can continue the conversation with the patron of the bill. Thank you, but we must oppose. Thank you.
Question of
Delegate Runyon.
Question of the person testifying. And Mr. Chair, I think this question probably goes to any of the airline folks that are out there testifying this. I understand there's been a number of states that have enacted these pieces of legislation similar or identical to this. And can you all comment on the posture of those and then perhaps how that would look in Virginia if this legislation is passed, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair, in answer to Delegate Runyon's question, this bill, paid sick leave mandates have been passed in other states, not often in major hub states. There are 11 major hub states. In those states, there is litigation ongoing. 5 states have ongoing litigation. 1 state is found on the side of the airlines that the federal law preempts, and 1 court decision in Washington state opted against it. But there is currently ongoing litigation.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So yeah, just to piggyback on that, Delegate Runyon, Washington State, which is a major hub state, challenged the Washington's paid sick leave laws applied to flight crew. The Ninth Circuit upheld the law, then SCOTUS denied cert in 2022, leaving the ruling intact and leaving the Washington State law intact. There are at least 6 examples that I'm aware of similar paid sick leave court cases in New York, Minnesota, Colorado, Massachusetts, Washington State, and Chicago, with mixed results in each case. The court applies a significant impact test. Does the state law have a meaningful effect on airline prices, routes, or services? If yes, it's preempted. If no, the state law may stand. And so I believe we'll have a deeper conversation about where this stands.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Jody Roth, on behalf of Virginia Retail Federation, just want to echo the comments of the chamber earlier. I also wanted to highlight the administrative requirements on employers, track all hours worked and leave accrued, retain records for 3 years, update employee policies, provide written notice of employee rights, and would require employers with 6 or more employees to provide paid sick leave to all workers, including part-time, seasonal, and temporary workers. Documentation could only be required from a doctor after 3 consecutive days of absence. The penalties range from $150 to $500 per violation, and employees would have the ability to bring civil action. That includes double damage and attorney's fees, and therefore those are part of the reasons we also oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia Hammond on behalf of the National Federation of Independent Business, Virginia Small Business Trade Association. I don't know that there's another association that's more acutely aware of how hard it is for small businesses to find employees. And so our owners work with their employees to come up with, whether it's leave, other types of compensation plans to be able to keep, retain, and hopefully grow their base. And this is very limiting to our ability to do that. I also echo the comments of both the Chamber and Jody as to what they said to the challenges small businesses would have when it comes to lawsuits, et cetera, especially since this presumes we are guilty even if we aren't.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and committee, Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. Unfortunately, we are opposed at this time, but look forward to further conversations with the patron. We appreciate it as it will negatively affect our small farms, our farmers, small businesses that are under financial stress already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Travis Smiley, Virginia Food Industry Association. We'd also like to echo the comments from the Chamber as well as the Retail Federation. And in specific, our opposition is to the double damages provision without an exception for any good faith compliance mistakes. Successor employer requirements would complicate business transitions. Reinstatement requirements for rehires within 12 months, and the required accrual for all employees. As an industry that relies a lot on seasonal and part-time workers, we find that to be a little bit problematic, so we oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, member of the subcommittee, Stacey Gore with the Virginia Manufacturers Association. And while we certainly, most of our members absolutely meet the most standard, the basic requirements of this bill, our main concern is that it doesn't address some of the common HR practices and current benefit structures that many employers currently offer. As the previous speaker just mentioned, the accrual process, a lot of our companies will actually upfront the paid time off in the beginning. We're also concerned that the bill doesn't acknowledge or include the definition for sick leave, paid time off, because that does that would require them to completely change the kind of benefits they currently offer. We do have some concerns about the bill, and we're really hopeful that we can continue to work with you guys on the language to make it sure that we're not upending very generous benefit packages that a lot of employers are already offering and inadvertently harm good actors in this regard. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Tommy Herbert, representing the Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association. We appreciate the patron. We also, similar to some of the concerns that have been mentioned before, are seeking an amendment that would allow a right to cure for an employer. We hope that conversation can be ongoing and possibly change our position in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions or comments from the committee before we go to online? All right. Let's go to Ms. Michelle Murray first. In favor of the bill.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Michelle Murray. I am the CEO at Living Wage for Us. We work with employers across the country and across Virginia on voluntarily paying a living wage, which in Virginia ranges from $21.17 to $41.17 per hour. We have a lot of workers in Virginia not making a living wage, and thus every single day that they can work is essential to paying their bills. So having paid sick time really is about putting food on the table. For that reason, and also because the businesses we work with see benefits of paying paid sick leave, where other workers aren't absent because they get sick from someone forced to come into work. We see both business and worker benefits and support the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Beelor, Lauren Beelor.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, subcommittee members, and thank you, Delegate Fowler. I am here on behalf of Main Street Alliance. My name is Lauren Beelor. I'm the National Director of Policy and Programs, and I'm representing 30,000 small business owners and entrepreneurs where we advocate for public policies, and our members include solo proprietors, family-owned businesses, and small employers from urban, rural, and urban communities. And in echoing many of the favorable remarks that have been made, paid sick leaves help retain employees and reduce turnover costs, which can be especially high for small businesses that rely on skilled staff and client relationships. Employees who can stay home when ill or caring for sick family members are healthier and more engaged when at work, helping small businesses avoid presenteeism and associated productivity losses. And also providing paid sick leave strengthens the employee-employer relationship. So we want to continue to protect that relationship for small business owners in an unstable economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Beelor. In opposition, Mr. Archer, Sean Archer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, first, Mr. Chairman. Sean Archer, Virginia Association of Personal Care Providers. We appreciate the intent of the bill, but oppose HB 5 due to funding. If not funded, agency-directed, agency-directed personal care providers would have to pay multiple employees to cover a patient, while DMAS reimburses us only for one employee when services are performed. Since we are a reimbursement-driven model, this will create a financial hardship that will lead to agencies shuttering doors, placing employment and patient access to care in jeopardy for hundreds of thousands of people across the Commonwealth. With those variables and lack of direction of funding, we oppose this bill only on the funding side of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Archer. Ms. Divi Charasia.
Yeah, it's Mr. And I'm also representing the Virginia Providers Care Association, and just wanted to iterate what Sean just mentioned. Our pay rates are defined by the government, and without any funding, we are unable to support the paid sick leave. So we are requesting amendment to the bill as it stands so that we can play a role in implementing it.
Thank you, sir. Pragya Charasia.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Pragya Charasia, and I am representing Virginia Association of Personal Care Providers. And echoing both Mr. Archer and Mr. Charasia's argument, we oppose the bill, given we need additional Medicaid funding to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Rawlinson. Or, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jerry Rawlinson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and other members of the subcommittee. I, too, am with the Virginia Association of Personal Care Providers. And as stated, we have no opposition to the intent of the bill, but if our Virginia Medicaid reimbursement rate is not adjusted to cover the cost of this mandate, it would be financially detrimental to our agencies. And most of us are small business owners providing care to the elderly and disabled. And it's just would be a very financial hardship, but we support it with the intent, but we do need funding for it to be as a mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rawlinson. All right, any additional questions or comments from members of the committee? If we do pass this, it'll have to go to appropriations. And so do I have a motion to move the substitute and re-refer to appropriations?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Let's go to the big board. You're a yes. All right. By a vote of 5-2, the bill is reported and referred with amendments to appropriations. All right. With that, I'm going to present my two bills from here and hand over the gavel to Delegate Congress Fowler. Oh, you want to do that one first? No, I'll do mine first. Okay. All right. First one up is the anti-wage theft bill, HB 238. Madam Chair.
Chair Lopez, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have a substitute amendment that is already online and before the committee.
We have a motion and a second to accept the amendments. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the amendments are before us.
All right, the substitute amendment keeps the original language of 11-4.6C regarding construction contracts, but moves up the effective date to June 1st, 2026. In 40.1-29F, it allows the commissioner to start proceedings on failure to pay wages through the consent of an employee, an interested third party, or their discretion, and to collect stolen wages to pay as restitution to the affected employee. And then in 40.1-29N, it makes a series of changes that allow the Attorney General to properly investigate and bring civil actions for violations of wage laws. And lastly, it makes a few technical changes clarifying that an employer must keep pay stubs or online accounting for 3 years, and refines the definition of duties of a home care worker and adds tips to the examples listed for wages. Here's the thing. The United States is witnessing an era of historic wage stagnation, and Virginians are struggling to afford basic necessities. Knowing this and knowing that wage theft is a growing issue, we must do all we can to, at the very least, protect the wages employees have worked hard for and are lawfully owed. Each year, workers across the U.S., often with the lowest incomes, fall victim to wage theft, the failure to pay legally owed wages. The Economic Policy Institute found that between 2017 and 2020, the U.S. Department of Labor and state agencies received over $3 billion in stolen wages on behalf of employees. This is minuscule, though, compared to an analysis of the data done by the National Employment Law Project, which found that an estimated $15 billion is lost every year in just minimum wage violations alone. Unfortunately, this reality exists across America, and here in Virginia, because enforcement is badly underfunded, existing legal remedies are woefully insufficient, and workers fear retaliation if they report violations or seek legal redress. This bill will give state agencies the teeth to better enforce existing wage laws and protect exploited workers. First, the bill will conform and harmonize our existing patchwork of wage laws by clarifying each of the statutes carries a 3-year statute of limitations, the possibility of treble damages, and an option for collective action procedures. It will reverse a narrow definition of wages issued by the Virginia Supreme Court, so employees can seek to recover prevailing wages, commissions, bonuses, severance, accrued vacation and sick leave, or damages due to misclassification. It will also broaden who can file a complaint, strengthen general contractor liability, cover home care workers, and create civil liability for employers who are guilty of wage theft in accordance with the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. And lastly, it both expands the authority of the Department of Labor and Industry to investigate violations and grants the Office of the Attorney General the authority to investigate and pursue civil violations of Virginia's wage laws in order to help recover the wages that are lawfully owed to these employees. Virginia has an opportunity to make dramatic progress in fighting wage theft by passing this bill. I hope it's the will of the committee to adopt this legislation.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Do we have any questions from anyone on the committee? Okay. Do we have anyone here to speak for the bill? Go ahead and get really close, and you have 1 minute each or less. Thank you.
Judith Conti on behalf of Viola and Moela.
We thank Delegate Lopez, Chair Lopez, for his championship of this bill. It is a compilation of common sense best practices that have been used in states throughout the United States. So we know that these are tactics that work to protect vulnerable workers from wage theft, to protect responsible employers who operate at an economic disadvantage when low-road employers engage in wage theft. It empowers state agencies to better enforce various laws and protects taxpayers from preventing misclassification and other violations that allow employers to evade paying taxes. I just want to highlight a few things in addition to everything that Chair Lopez said. Creating a broad definition of wages is so important because the Virginia Supreme Court has viewed the current definition very narrowly, and things like commissions and tips don't count towards wages. It provides workers who en masse experience the same type of violations to pursue collective actions in federal court, allows other employees or interested parties to file complaints as well, and expands the Attorney General authority, as is the case in 17 states, to pursue civil liability, and gives DOLE much better authority to pursue all wage violations and to also engage in strategic enforcement. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Meg Gruber representing VEA. We strongly support this bill. And the teacher in me is like, why do we even have to have bills like this? Because we have employers who don't play fair. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Charles Keller, Richmond Building and Construction Trades. The construction industry is plagued with wage theft and misclassification. We thank the patron and support this paper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ramon Cepeda Ramos with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We've worked before to address wage theft. It continues to be a crisis. Sometimes we receive calls, and by simply being a witness, we're able to get wages, but many times employees have to fight really hard and they need support to get their wages that they have already earned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jewel Gatlin with Care in Action. Thank you, Delegate Lopez, for carrying this bill. We absolutely support it, as far as, especially in regards to the misclassification, which is something that happens a lot when it comes to domestic workers. So again, we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Jason Parker, Virginia State Building Construction Trades Council. Employers that employ these type of tactics against their workers displace good employers. It's not good for Virginia. It kind of ruins our reputation around the nation. And I know that we're missing 200,000 people in the workforce. And it's these kind of employers that keep people from coming to Virginia. So I hope you support this.
Thank you.
Ashley Dwyer on behalf of SEIU Virginia State Council. We appreciate Chair Lopez's leadership on this issue and support this bill wholeheartedly.
Dr. Emily Yen, Smart Local 100. We support this bill. We want to see an end to wage theft.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Greg Ackerman with DC Metro Building Trades. Thank you to the chair for introducing this bill. This is a massive issue in the industry, and we fully support the bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Jason Urashis, Legal Aid Justice Center. We support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Patrick Brigham with the Electricians Union Local 666. Our members are dealing with this stuff every single day, and I know they appreciate you all for bringing this bill forward. So thank you. We urge you to support it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, Doris Kraus-Mays with the Virginia AFL-CIO, and we support the bill. Thank you.
Joanna Darkus, Virginia Poverty Law Center. On behalf of our low-income legal aid clients, we support the bill. When folks don't get credit for their earnings, when they are misclassified, they can also lose eligibility for other safety net programs, including unemployment insurance, if they are laid off. So it's really important that we take this measure seriously, and we support the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Julia Newton, representing SEIU Virginia 512 and 32BJ, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all those in speaking in opposition of the bill, if you could come forward.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Nicole Brenner with Seven Hills Strategy Group on behalf of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. This legislation is similar to legislation that you saw in 2021 that took us out of alignment with the Fair Labor Standards Act. After you did that, the General Assembly came back in 2022 and you retained a state level cause of action so that employees could bring wage theft actions against their employers. Otherwise, you then aligned with the Fair Labor Standards Act in 2022. So I want to repeat that. The Chamber of Commerce was happy to work with you in 2022 to retain that state level cause of action, which addressed wage theft, but otherwise align with the Fair Labor Standards Act. After you did that, we also had a year-long stakeholder process. That 2022 action is what allowed workers to pursue issues of wage theft. It is not the legislation before you. What you are hearing about addressing wage theft is already part of the law, and I would point you to lines 201 and 340 in the substitute, which says an employer shall be liable for those things. This bill does not change how overtime is calculated, and it does not address wage theft. What it does change that I have seen before and that you have considered before in 2021 and 2023 and 2025 is that we would like to bring those actions under J. We would like to increase the damages. We'd like to increase the statute of limitations. We'd like to change the look back. We'd like to change the standard. All of those things are what takes you out of the alignment with the Fair Labor Standards Act. They create issues for employers who operate in more than one state. We've seen all of those things before. However, this bill does several new things that we haven't seen before.
Great, thank you. Mr. Chair wants me to stick to the minute.
Understood. You are, for the first time, I think my mic got cut off.
No, it's still on. We'll follow up. Thank you.
You're creating a class action, and I would ask for you to refer the bill to the courts committee.
All right. Thank you.
Brandon Robinson with the Associated General Contractors, and I just want to offer a couple comments on the construction-specific piece, and I want to commend the patron for addressing wage theft, and we would agree with that intent. However, some of the language in that section specifically, we have concerns that actually does opposite of what it's intended to do, because some of that language is really targeted to protect the good actors and get at the bad actors. And so it is some of that language that we worked a few years ago to put in this code section, and for those reasons that it's coming out that we respectfully oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia Hammond on behalf of Associated Builders and Contractors. And I agree with what Brandon said. You're removing the part that protects the good guys that everybody talked about. Protecting the good guys, elevating quality contractors, helps the industry and helps Virginia's reputation. This removes any protection for them whatsoever.
Thank you.
Stacey Gore with the Virginia Manufacturers Association, and we absolutely do not support wage theft, but we do echo the concerns of the previous speakers. Thank you.
Tommy Herbert, Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association. We would associate ourselves with Ms. Brenner's comments and Ms. Hammond's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jody Roth on behalf of Virginia Retail Federation, and I'd like to associate ourselves with the comments of Ms. Brenner as well, and NFIB. Thank you.
Thank you.
Travis Smiley, Virginia Food Industry Association, would also like to align ourselves with the previous comments made. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online? No? Do we have any other further questions or comments from the committee members? Delegate Ballard. Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Runyon.
Madam Chair, thank you. Question of the patron, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I too am very sympathetic and appreciate you bringing this forward. Our family business is a small specialty contractor, and we have always taken pride in the 40 years or so that we've been in business to make sure our employees are always paid, accurately paid, and that our vendors and our suppliers and the whole thing works correctly. I share the concerns that I think AGC brought forward, that what I see is that we've removed the protections that the good actors have and essentially lumped those all in with the bad actors. And I think that's very challenging. You know, in some cases, in our business in particular, we're oftentimes doing work for a contractor at a remote site that we're the only folks that will ever be there. And so they have no opportunity other than a certification from me, our organization, that we have done it right and we paid it right and we completed the job. Conversely, we're often that other folks that we're asking someone in a remote location to perform those tasks, and I can only depend on them to say and certify under oath or whatever we need to. And so, as I understand, and perhaps I'm misunderreading the bill, Mr. Chairman, that those protections are removed in this version. And again, I want to emphasize that I have, in all my years of business experience, those of us that do it right want to drive out those that are dishonest. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I appreciate that. Madam Chair.
Yeah, Chair Lopez.
I would say to Delegate Runyon that, I appreciate the fact that his family and a significant number, the vast majority of folks who run businesses, and especially small businesses in Virginia, do it the right way. They're not, committing these acts of wage theft. However, it is increasingly a problem in the Commonwealth to the point where it's really rampant in the construction industry. It's really rampant in Northern Virginia. And all this bill does is conform to best practices from other states. And so we're just trying to make sure that people can embrace some of the best practices from other states. And I think I'm going to actually, a friend wants to speak to this as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just happy to speak specifically to the construction industry language that was brought up. I think the issue is that without bringing in the upper tier contractors to help settle issues with the lower tier, you oftentimes have workers that are trying to get their wages back from these low road bad actors. And the best practices from other states is when you actually do institute language like what's in this bill that actually creates a legal mechanism whereby upper tier contractors are liable for their downstream. They obviously still, like I'm sure your business would, still include language in their contracts with lower tiers that would insulate them from that liability. But ultimately, this is a legal mechanism to make sure that you're both getting pressure downstream from the workers, but also upper tier contractors are ensuring that their lower tiers are settling cases and doing so without going out of business and on any of the other tactics they can use.
And following up on that.
You have a follow-up question?
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Delegate
Madam
Runyon.
Chair, yes. Well, given that scenario and that logic, why would we not then pass all the liability or the liability chain all the way up to the owner who's ultimately paying all the bill? And so I think when you look at that, that creates the illogical, it makes you understand how illogical this is. We're asking people to assume liability for something they haven't the ability to control. If I have the ability to control, I'm all there.
Chair Lopez.
Madam Chair.
Chair Lopez.
Madam Chair, I would just say that the knowledge requirement has really created an incentive for general contractors to put blinders on when it comes to what's happening on their job sites. And general contractors need an incentive to hire reputable subcontractors that won't steal their workers' wages. And getting rid of the knowledge requirement provides that incentive. And so, that's the incentive. That's the trigger. Because the fact is that it's happening far too much in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
All right, Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the patron, or maybe even the last speaker. So I'm kind of looking at this through the attorney lens. If I'm reading it correctly, if I'm a general contractor on a large project and I have a lot of subcontractors and they have a violation and I have no knowledge of the violation, I mean, isn't this a strict liability standard?
Chair Lopez?
I don't know. Can I ask Judy Conti from the Employment Lawyers Association of Virginia?
We're phoning a friend.
Thank you. It does create somewhat of a strict liability situation, but more importantly, it creates the incentives to do exactly what Delegate Runyon does in his business, right? Hire reputable people, oversee the work that they're doing to make sure that it is done appropriately and legally. Far too often, and not just in the construction context, what we see is that in order to maximize their profits, some GCs will hire fly-by-night companies that don't have any sort of good track record of paying wages. These are companies that often then, when workers come to them for wages or sue them, they just simply go out of business. And then they're absolutely unrecoverable. So by making sure that general contractors are liable for wages, what we do is we give them the incentives not to use fly-by-night companies, to make sure that they use well-capitalized companies who can do right by their workers, who aren't, in fact, also then taking advantage of the general contractor, because what they're doing is taking the money as the sub and not delivering on the promise of wages to the workers who deliver the services. So we stand by this provision. It is similar in many other states and works well to protect workers, and employers who do the right thing don't suffer.
Delegate Ballard,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Follow up, and maybe to that speaker. And I appreciate that. I really do understand the incentive, and maybe in some world I could get behind this. But so under that logic, I mean, the incentive that you're creating is really no incentive at all, because I agree with the chamber. This is more like class action stuff under a strict liability standard. I mean, I've never heard of that in the law before.
Well, in fact, it is the law in a number of additional states, and I can get that list for you for the record if you would like. I would also like to just address the class action thing. It is not creating a class action in Virginia. It is not doing anything to change the law about class actions in Virginia. What, in fact, it is doing, though, is that when there is a case brought in federal court under Virginia law and federal law simultaneously, giving the federal court the ability to also hear this in a collective action basis. And under federal law, workers do a collective action opt-in to be part of a wage and hour enforcement action when there's a similarity of wage violations, as opposed to a class action in which everybody is automatically included unless they opt out. So it is a much more onerous process for workers to opt in, but it does allow for collective relief.
Chair Lopez.
Last question,
Chair Lopez.
Madam Chair, last question. And I'm not trying to harass you, I'm not.
Delegate Ballard.
That's fine.
One second. Chair Lopez, did that answer your question? Okay, Delegate Ballard, you follow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Respectful dialogue. I always appreciate it.
that. I mean, at the end of the day, under all of this, I mean, isn't this going to then create higher insurance premiums? I mean, aren't they just going to try to insure against these potential losses? And it's going to drive insurance way, way up?
Only if employers continue to use fly-by-night companies that don't pay. If they exercise due care and hire the right people as subs and wages are paid, there'll be no additional lawsuits, and insurance premiums shouldn't go up as a result. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, speaking to the bill.
No more questions? Go ahead. Go ahead, Delegate Helmer.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Chair, I think there's this point that's being raised about whether the prime contractor should be responsible for subs is a valid one to raise, but there are lots of other parts of law in which we hold prime contractors responsible for the conduct of subcontractors. One of the key areas when we look at things like human trafficking, look at the use of child slavery, those are all components of the law where we hold prime contractors responsible for the conduct of subs, because we recognize that when you look into the supply chain of the work that you're doing, we hold them to specific standards. And to reiterate the point, if you are a good prime contractor, you are going to explore the conduct of your subcontractors on an ongoing basis. You're going to understand it, and you're going to work with subcontractors that have a history of providing fair wages, not using child labor, all those components. And there are lots of areas of the law, both federally and at the state level, and in other states, in which we tackle parallel types of conduct and hold the prime accountable. And I think this wage theft law does exactly that. So I hope that this body will report the bill.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Does this have to go to appropriations if reported? No? Do we have any motions? This committee operates by motion.
Move to the substitute.
Do you move the substitute? I got a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we, clerk, open the roll? All right, on a vote of 5-2, this reports with substitute. All right.
Thank you. I have one more bill, HB 339.
All right, Chair Lopez.
And there's also a substitute amendment strikes changes made regarding prevailing wages and focuses solely on the health, safety, and wage and hour protections.
Do we have a motion on the substitute? All in favor?
Aye.
The substitute is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So worker safety and fair labor standards are a necessity to make sure Virginians have good paying jobs and continue to be able to support their families. If the federal government is unwilling to maintain these basic practices, it's our responsibility as a Commonwealth to ensure that every Virginian is able to work under safe conditions. The U.S. Department of Labor's efforts to deregulate workplace protections en masse have unfortunately made our neighbors vulnerable to unsafe conditions and exploitation. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, had its worker endangerment penalty guidelines reduced dramatically recently, with the definition of an immediate response by an employer being changed from within 1 day of a hazardous event to up to 15 days thereafter. This inherently deprioritizes worker safety and leaves time for more workers to be put at risk before any measures of prevention are taken. Additionally, OSHA funding and staffing were reduced recently by 8% and 12% respectively, stifling effective response to worker safety violations. Looking towards the future, the Department of Labor has set its sights on continuing to propose new deregulatory efforts throughout the rest of this administration at the federal level, such as potentially rescinding a requirement for employers to limit workers' exposure to harmful substances, which continues to kill hundreds of American workers every year. Most telling is the administration's new policy that requires all federal agencies to eliminate 10 existing regulations in order to enact one new regulation, which signifies not only a lack of concern for worker safety or any similar protections, but a sole interest in an indiscriminate destruction of the nation's regulatory framework. This bill will ensure that currently existing worker protections prior to federal deregulations are sustained for the betterment of our Virginia workforce. If the federal Secretary of Labor repeals or amends OSHA standards, and those standards are less effective in protecting the health and safety of employees, the Virginia Safety and Health Codes Board will be able to adopt previous OSHA standards. The bill also allows the Department of Labor and Industry to adopt previous regulations under federal mine safety laws if these regulations are repealed, revoked, or issued a new interpretation that is less stringent. The bill also carries the same practice to any potential repeals or weakened interpretations of the Fair Labor Standards Act. And in the end, this bill is a much-needed backstop to protect Virginia workers from federal safety and wage regulations that are either rapidly unraveling or under threat. Without our action, countless Virginians may face unsafe working conditions and unfair labor practices that we haven't seen in years. The bill allows us to protect our fellow Virginians from these regressive policies, and I hope it's the will of the committee to approve the bill.
Thank you, Chair Lopez. Do we have any questions from the committee? Seeing none. Okay. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Please come forward. Thank you. Welcome.
Judith Conti on behalf of Vila and Moila. Practically every day, we are seeing the Federal Department of Labor weaken wage and hour and health and safety protections, going against best practices in the wage and hour field, and in particular, rolling back safety protections that go against all occupational safety and health science. In fact, we even saw the administration temporarily, thankfully, defund NIOSH, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. Luckily, people were brought back to work just last week, which is an important agency both for workers and the employer community. This is an important backstop to protect workers in the Commonwealth, and we wholeheartedly support the legislation offered by the chair. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Charles Skelly, Richmond Building and Construction Trades. My background's in occupational safety. Since the OSHA Act in the 1970s, on-the-job deaths have decreased by approximately 2/3. This is essential. I appreciate the patron bringing the bill forward. We support this.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Patrick Brigham with IBEW Local 666. The Electricians Union was founded for worker safety, and we continue to support every effort to keep our workers safer. So we appreciate y'all and urge you to support.
Madam Chair. Jason Parker, Virginia State Building and Construction Trades Council. We need 200,000 workers. We should probably protect and care for the ones that we have, so we support.
My name is Dr. Emily Yen. Smart Local 100 sheet metal workers face a large number of occupational hazards on their job sites, and we are in support of this bill. We think it's absolutely necessary.
Thank you.
Ashley Dwyer, on behalf of SEIU Virginia State Council, 512 and 32BJ, we support this bill.
Thank you.
Doris Kraus-Mays, Virginia AFL-CIO, and we support the bill.
Manuel Gago, Legal Aid Justice Center, we support this bill.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody here to speak against the bill? Come on up.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Chairman, Andrew Sinclair on behalf of the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We actually don't have issues with the intent of the bill. There is a very narrow provision that we think beginning on, pardon me, I want to make sure I get the line number right, on the section that begins on line 185, the new language there. This is going to have unintended consequences beyond the current federal administration. Whereas if the Department of Labor revises standards going forward, it actually removes the ability for the state board to use its discretion that's laid out in current law, captured beginning on line 191, that talks about using the highest degree of health and safety protection for the employee, other considerations, including scientific data in the field, feasibility of the standards, and experience gained under this and other safety laws. And so the intent would be you could have a future Department of Labor remove a standard that then the state is required to go back and put the existing standard back in. And so we would ask, again, don't have a problem, but would encourage a revision of that.
I do want to take a moment and let you know that the substitute doesn't do that. I believe we could get some. Could we get some clarity just to make sure we have that?
Okay. I appreciate that clarity. Hadn't had a chance to review the substitute.
Thank you.
So thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the chairman and the patron for making that revision.
Thank you.
Pending review, rescind my previous comments.
Thank you. And we don't have anyone online. Do we have any other questions or comments from committee members? We operate on motion. We have a motion to report with substitute in a second. Can the clerk open the roll? All right, on a vote of 5-2, that reports with substitute.
Thank you.
And Chair Lopez.
All right, so our last bill of the subcommittee meeting today is Delegate LeVere Bowling's bill, HB 426, about worker compensation and employers' offset in events of recovery. And before we end tonight, thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you for being following the rules, and thank you for your expertise. We really do appreciate it. Delegate LeVere Bowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do, in fact, have an amendment, and I don't believe it's up online yet. Correct.
Do we have an amendment online?
Madam Chair, it will be posted online shortly, if the patron wouldn't mind reading it out, or I can get it up in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you. As we're getting it up, I can report it. On line 32, after the word ratio, we'll be striking, quote, and shall continue to reimburse the claimant's proportionate share of attorney fees and costs on each payment as provided in this section. And instead, we will be inserting or replacing that with also during the offset period, the claimant may make payment for medical expenses that fall under the medical award, and if so, the employer shall reimburse the claimant's proportionate share of attorney's fees and costs on any and all payments made by the claimant as provided in this section until the employer's credit is exhausted. I can explain that.
Yeah.
All right. That amendment seeks to clarify the procedural mechanism for medical payments after a third-party recovery and align with the functional practice in place that we've had here in Virginia for several decades under workers' compensation. And I would hope that the committee would move that amendment.
So we'd like to move the substitute, or move the amended language? All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right, amendments before us.
Thank you. For HB 426, it seeks to provide greater stability and fairness for injured workers who receive workers' compensation benefits and then later recover damages from a third-party lawsuit related to that same injury. Now, under current law, when an injured worker obtains a third-party recovery, the employer may take a credit against future workers' compensation benefits. However, the application of that credit can result in the suspension or interruption of benefits, even when the worker continues to require medical care or income support. This bill clarifies that existing workers' compensation awards must remain in effect even after a third-party recovery. Specifically, lifetime medical benefits and ongoing indemnity benefits cannot be suspended, modified, or terminated solely because an employer has a credit due to a third-party recovery. Instead, HB 426 requires that employers' credit be applied as a continuing pro rata offset against benefits otherwise payable. This ensures injured workers continue to receive regular benefit payments, reduce proportionality until the employer's credit is exhausted. During this period, employers must also continue paying their share of the claimant's attorney's fees and costs, as mentioned. This approach promotes predictability and financial stability for injured workers while preserving the employer's right to recover those costs through an offset, creating a fair balance for all parties involved. And so I think in conclusion, I would say that this is kind of a common sense clarification for Virginia's workers' compensation system that we've been needing. It ensures injured workers are not left without medical care or income support simply because they pursued a lawful third-party claim while still honoring employers' existing offset rights. This bill strengthens fairness, continuity of care, and economic stability for working Virginians, and I would respectfully ask the committee to please report this bill.
Thank you very much, Delegate Livermore. Any questions for the delegate from the committee? Delegate Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't do any workers' comp law, so bear with me on this. So it's not double dipping. You're not getting double recovery. It does nothing to change the offset. It just basically is clarifying that you don't have to reapply for the benefits that you were getting.
Exactly, correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, Brody Reed on behalf of VTLA, and I'm a Virginia workers' compensation attorney as well, and I teach it sometimes at the law school at Richmond. We speak in favor of this bill. It's a common sense bill that lays out the procedural mechanism on how, after a third-party recovery, payments are made and how they're applied for. It just keeps in place the existing award while balancing and preventing a double recovery.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Meg Gruber from VEA. We strongly support this bill and thank the patron for putting it in.
Thank you. Mr. Parker.
Mr. Chair, Jason Parker, Virginia State Building Construction Trades Council. We support.
Thank you.
Doris Krause Mays, Virginia AFL-CIO, and we support the bill.
Thank you.
Julia Newton, SCIU, and we support the bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Patrick Brigham, IBW Local 666. We support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Manuel Gago, Legal Aid Justice Center, we support this bill.
Thank you very much. Anyone in opposition to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jeff Smith here on behalf of the Virginia Self-Insurers Association as well as Metis Holdings. At this point, I am not opposed. We don't have a position. The patron has been extremely generous. We met with her for a while this morning as she's navigating her first birthday at home, so we are very appreciative of that and brought some, some possible amendments. And so having just kind of received the final substitute, we are going to have a look at it, but again, appreciate her taking the time, and hopefully we can continue the discussions on it. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. If there's no one else, is anyone online, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Any additional comments or questions from members of the committee?
Amended bill.
Yes. Move to report the amended bill. And seconded. All right. With that, let's go up to the big board. All right, by a vote of 7-0, the bill is reported with amendments. Thank you all very much for your time, and we look to seeing you at the next meeting.